Hello and welcome to Chapter 10, Lesson 7. Today we're going to be talking about comparing and ordering decimals. So what we're going to practice today says to compare and order decimals, you can use a number line or place value. Okay, so let's take a deeper look into this. At recess, Austin and his friends decided to have two races. One was 2/10 of a mile. And the other was 4/10 of a mile. Which race was longer? So if we look at 2/10, here it is, and 4/10 is right here. Okay, here's 1 mile. Here's the starting line. So which one ran farther? We can notice that 4/10 was farther, right? So we know that 4/10 is greater than 2/10. Another way is using place value. So if we think about the different place value spots, we want to first line up the decimal points. That's huge. If your decimal points are lined up, you are not able to compare anything. Then compare the digits in each place value position. So this is the ones place, the very old ones place you learned about, probably first grade, kindergarten, somewhere in there, right? Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions, right? We have those place values. They are the same. They have not changed. 1 ounce. Okay, so don't think all of a sudden because now I have decimals, they've changed. For some reason, kids like to think that way. They're the same. Okay, so we notice we would always start over here. They have 0 ones here. And if we think about tenths like dimes, we could also think of it as, look at this guy has 2 dimes, this guy has 4 dimes. 4 dimes is bigger. Okay, so we know that 4/10 is going to be bigger. So the longer race was the one that was 4/10 of a mile. Notice that you can only compare 0 and 4/10 and 2/10 because they refer to the same whole, which is 1 mile. Right? Like their point that they're making there is if I say, okay, 4/10 of a slice of bread, what's bigger, 4/10 of a slice of bread or 4/10 of a jumbo-sized pizza? Can I compare those two things, bread and pizza? No. If I cut half a piece of bread and eat it, am I going to be as full as if I eat half a pizza? No way. So we have to make sure if we're comparing things with decimals or even fractions, we're comparing the same things. That's why with fractions, we need to get a common denominator. Because if we don't have a common denominator, we cannot compare it because it's like comparing bread to pizza, right? If I cut half a bread, half a pizza, not comparable. So anyways, sorry, I'll get off my soapbox and let's keep moving. All right, so now we need to do some ordering here. So let's take a look. We have 15/100ths. Notice how I'm saying these numbers. Please notice how I'm saying these. This is the hundredths place, right? This number is 15. It ends in the hundredths place, 15/100ths. I'm going to say this one, 38/100ths, because it ends in the hundredths place. And the last one is really up here, 3/10, because the number is 3 and it ends in the tenths place. Right? If I have 0.03, that is 3/100ths because the 3 is in the hundredths place. Anyways, so first step, always line up that decimal point. Then we're going to place a 0 to the right of 3/10 so that it's hundredths just like the rest of them. And we've done that. That 3/10 and 30/100ths, 30 pennies versus 3 dimes, same amount of money, right? Okay, so we're not changing any values here. We're keeping the same value. So now we're going to go. We're going to start with the ones place. They're all the same. Can't use that. Going to go next to the tenths place. Okay, I've got a 1, a 3, and a 3. So which one has more money? The one that has 1 dime or 3 dimes? 3 dimes, right? So this is the smallest one. And it says we're supposed to compare it from greatest to least. So this is going to be in third place. And then I have 2 3s. So can I determine yet which one's bigger? Nope. So I'm going to go to the hundredths place. So I have an 8 and I have 0. So what's more, 8 pennies or 0 pennies? 8 pennies is going to be more, so that's going to be the first place, and this is going to be the second place. The other area I see a lot of kids make mistakes in is they go least to greatest. So please make sure whenever you're reading the question, it's greatest to least, least to greatest, circle it. And after you write your answer down, go back and check that you did the right thing. Okay, it's just a really good habit to get into. So the order from greatest to least is 0 and 38 hundredths. Then it is 3 tenths. And then it is 15 hundredths. Right? So greatest to least. And we can look at that picture right there. Boom. Shows us exactly we were right. Okay, so we're going to compare here. Okay, 6 tenths versus 2 tenths. 6 tenths is bigger. 4 tenths plus 4 hundredths. Be careful. 4 tenths is like dimes. Hundredths is like pennies. Which is bigger if I have 4 dimes or 4 pennies? 4 dimes is bigger. You're right. Okay. 6 tenths versus 60 hundredths. Okay, so I'm going to think 6 dimes or 60 pennies. Wait a minute, those are equal. Yep. Okay, here I have 57 pennies or 7 dimes. Well, 70 cents is more than 57 cents. Boom, done. Order from greatest to least. Now, this is what I need to see on your paper. Whenever we have 3, we're going to stack them. 0.2, 2 tenths. 0.02, 2 hundredths. 0.4. Okay, so I start with the ones, all the same. Go next to the tenths place. It says greatest to least. So the biggest one is going to be this one right here, because notice it is worth 4 dimes. This is worth 2 dimes. This has 0 dimes. Okay, so 4 tenths is going to be my greatest. Then it's going to be 2 tenths. And lastly, it's going to be 2 pennies, 2 hundredths. Is going to be my smallest. I'm going to double check. Did I do it biggest to smallest? Yes, I did. Okay, here we have 3 again, so let's stack them. 0 and 51 hundredths, 34 hundredths, and 46 hundredths. Okay, so ones, same. Tenths, as greatest, so the biggest is going to be the 5, so 51 hundredths. Next, we're going to have the 4, so 46 hundredths. And then we're going to have the 3, so 34 hundredths. Going to go back and check again. Did I go biggest to smallest? Yes, I did. Okay. Here, explain how to compare 4 tenths to 40 hundredths. They are the same thing. 4 dimes is worth the same as 40 pennies. Same old thing. All right, here we go. We're going to compare again. This is the point in the video where if you say, okay, I get it, I don't need to watch this anymore, please go do your work. If you're saying, I'm still a little not so sure, please keep watching. So I have 9 tenths and 4 tenths. Well, 9 tenths are going to be more, so I'm going to eat the 9. Okay. I have 32 hundredths versus 37 hundredths. Well, 37 is going to be bigger, right? 9 tenths versus 90 hundredths. So notice they're not the same denominator if we're thinking in fraction-wise, because remember, decimals, fractions, same things, they're equal, right? Because 9 dimes, the same as 90 pennies, worth the same amount. Order from least to greatest, let's stack them. Now, in the first problem, it told us to put a 0 here, so we're working with all hundredths, which is fine. So then really we could look at this too. I've got 27, 43, and 70, right? This is, oh, see, tricky. This one they're doing smallest. So 27 hundredths is going to be the smallest. Middle is going to be 43 hundredths. And then the most is going to be 7 tenths or 70 hundredths. Okay, let's stack them. Okay, let's get that 0 in there. So least is going to be 22 hundredths. Then it's going to be 4 tenths. And then 72 hundredths. Again, I'm looking at this place here. 2 is the smallest, then it's 4, then it's 7. 2, 4, 7. So that was the order that we did it in. Eli lives 7 tenths of a mile from his school. He lives 25 hundredths of a mile from his friend's house. Does he live closer to school or his friend's house? So we're comparing 7 tenths to 25 hundredths. If I have my 0 here to make them both hundredths, I'm comparing 70 to 25. So he lives closer to his friend's house. Elena spent 35 cents, 35 hundredths of a dollar on a ring at the arcade and 72 hundredths of a dollar on a snack. Did she spend more on the ring or the snack? This is the greater value, and that was the snack. The snack cost more. So earlier I had said make sure you stack them. If there are 3, hey, you might as well do it if it's 2 as well. So that's really going to be helpful for you, I think, to visualize to see which one's bigger. Tristan has a box of toys. 4 out of 100 toys are red. So that would be 4 out of 100 would be 4 hundredths red. 52 hundredths of the toys are green. Okay, and 1 tenth of the toys are blue. If I'm going to make it hundredths like the rest of them, I'm just going to add my 0, 10 hundredths are blue. Write the color of toys in order from greatest to least. Explain your answer. So greatest, green. Middle, 10 or 4, what's bigger? Thank you. I hope you're yelling at the screen. 10, 10. And then red is the least. Greatest to least, yep. And when it says explain your answer, guess what? Boom. There's my explanation right there. I showed my work nice and neat, so it's easy to understand. All right, here we have model math. Write a real-world problem that compares 4 tenths and 29 hundredths and solve the problem and explain your solution. Okay, here's what I came up with. Harper has 4 tenths of a bracelet completed. Stephanie has 29 hundredths of a bracelet completed. Who is closer to finishing their bracelet? So when we're comparing these two, notice I'm comparing bracelets, we would know that 1 would be a completed bracelet, or 100 hundredths, which would also just be 1. Okay, so once they get to 100%, 100 hundredths, that whole hundredths box is filled in, they're going to be done. So then I would, to see which is bigger, I would notice that Harper is closer to finishing her bracelet. So there we have it. One more problem here. Test practice, which numbers are ordered from least to greatest? So here we have 25 hundredths. So I'm just going to write that in fraction form. 25 hundredths. Then they did 9 tenths. So if I'm going to get the hundredths thing going, I'm going to multiply both by 10. So it would be 90 hundredths. And then it would be 35 hundredths. Does that go from smallest to biggest? Nope, these two should be switched. So it is not A. So we have 9 tenths, 25 hundredths, no, that's not, we're looking for the one that's 25 hundredths, 35 hundredths, 9/10. 25 hundredths, 35 hundredths, oh, well, there it is. Nice. Okay, because this one is greatest to least, right? So they always throw that trickier one in there to make sure they catch you if you don't read the question careful enough. All right, that is all I have for you today. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.